Time for the only radio show of its kind. Auctioneers of antiques, collectors of cool, veterans of vintage. It's the Donley Auctions Hour on AM 560, The Answer. For the next hour, enjoy great information about buying and selling antiques and collectibles, and some interesting stories. Now, the Donley Auctions Hour.
Welcome to the Donley Auctions Hour. Thank you for joining us. We are here every Saturday from 1 to 2 p.m. And unlike Seinfeld, I always say, the show about nothing, we're a show about something. Hi, Randy. I'm Susan, and I'm here with Randy Donley.
Hey, good afternoon, Susan.
We are the owners of Donley Auctions in Union, Illinois. We're just 60 miles west of Chicago. And this week's show, we're first going to start off with what a crazy week we've had at Donley Auctions.
Oh, my gosh. It's just been wild. I mean, the past week we've had our big antique phonograph auction.
That radios and audio equipment.
Yeah, my goodness. And some really, really fun price discoveries. I mean, the Vernus Martins, a phonograph, a Victor Victrola that was, all done in gold. I mean, it was beautiful. Sold for $12,000.
Wow.
I mean,
that was the big sale of the day.
I would say, yeah. And but I mean, there was other fun stuff. I mean, things that you wouldn't think were going to bring. I mean, really good money. I mean,
that's the beauty of an auction. You never know until you have other people from all over the world bidding on it.
Well, you're 100% right. I mean, that's what we always say is the audience that we have is worldwide. I mean, we hold live auctions, but other things that we had in this auction. I mean, the Oceanic, a small little radio.
It was cool though. It was mid-century radio. It had turquoise on it. That sold for $1,500.
$1,500.
A little tabletop radio. That was great.
And the amplifiers. I mean, some nice amplifiers.
Yeah, those were threshold mono block amps. They sold for $4,750. We had it estimated up to $5,000. So fell right where it was supposed to be.
Well, yeah, but we, had a low estimate, $1,500 to $5,000, and they brought $4,750, at the high end. Yeah,
I still have people calling after the auction, seeing if they're paid for. Like, yep, they're paid for because everybody wants them.
The beauty of just those items that we talked about, Susan, those are actually items that came to us via this radio show. Listeners that called us, those came right out of Arlington Heights.
That's right. Thank you for listening, everyone. We'll talk more about that, how you can get a hold of us as well. But the calls and the photos we've been getting, the emails, wow. Thank you. Tell them about what has happened since then and where you've been.
Oh, my goodness. Just this week alone, I mean, we just pulled out some really great pinball machines out of Highland Park. Again, via this radio show. And, I mean, some fun, Captain Fantastic and Evel Knievel.
Right.
I mean, these are great pinball machines.
I'm sure we played with those when we were kids.
Well,
brings back a lot of memories.
They're 1970s vintage. And that's one thing that I want to remind all of our listeners is that, pinball machines especially don't have to be the old antiques. People will call me and say, oh, I've got a really old pinball machine from the 20s. It must be really valuable. Well, not necessarily. I mean, the older doesn't necessarily mean the more valuable.
Right.
Older is neat, and, they're very collectible. But some of the best value you see in pinball machines especially is the early and mid-'70s stuff, like the ones I just talked about.
Right.
So...
yeah, those are going to be coming up in our April auction, end of April. It's the 27th, 28th, and 29th. So mark your calendars. Those great pinball machines we just picked up.
Quick shout out to Dana,
yeah,
too.
Shout out to Dana.
One of our listeners, because she's got a pinball machine also that...
we're coming to get it, Dana.
We're coming out for. But all kinds of items that we picked up this week for our April auction, which is coming up.
That's right.
I picked up 8 Nickelodeons over the weekend.
Wow.
Can you imagine that over the past week?
I know we talk about Nickelodeons a lot because it's just second nature to us. But can you explain to our listeners what exactly a Nickelodeon is, the difference between that and like a player piano and an organ?
Well, sure, Susan. A Nickelodeon actually started out referring to just about any coin-operated item that was, in fact, operated by a nickel, be it a coin-operated phonograph or a coin-operated piano. But even the movie theaters showing very early, back in the day, movie theaters were brand new, and it only cost a nickel to get in. So even theaters used to be referred to as Nickelodeons. But today, the term Nickelodeon really refers to a coin-operated piano that's operated, by a nickel. And most of these old Nickelodeons played way more than a piano. They had musical instruments in them, be it drums and cymbals, tambourines,
violin,
the Mills Violano from Chicago, Mills Company. And so much of this stuff was made in Chicago, and it's still out there, Susan. It's in basements, attics, garages, warehouses, and we just keep finding this stuff all over the Chicago and suburbs.
That's right. You said we have 8 of them?
8 Nickelodeons.
Are they coming in, or are they here already?
No, I picked them up this week.
Oh,
That's
wow.
what I say. This has been a crazy
Things keep coming and going. I sometimes don't see it all, but I'm going to have to check those out. So those are coming up in April as well. We're going to have a whole category of antique music, and then it'll fall into one of those days.
You bet. So once again, if you have anything out there, any old coin-operated pianos, jukeboxes, pinball machines,
big,
arcade.
heavy stuff. We'll take it. We'll take it. And
now is the time to call or email us because, again, we're collecting up items for the big April shindig.
Well, I probably didn't really notice that stuff coming in because I saw the cars that were coming in. I'm more interested in
you are.
what
You're
you have coming
lady.
up in that trailer that pulls up. So tell us about the Mercedes.
Well, the Mercedes is just beautiful.
The silver Mercedes, yeah.
It's a 450, and we've got actually 2 Mercedes, which are more modern cars. They're from the 2000s.
Right.
But if you want, a fun car to drive right now, these are great, affordable vehicles. But in vintage, yesterday, I picked up a 1952 MG.
Wow.
Totally restored, nice driving car. And I just love the story that the family told me. This is a right-hand drive vehicle. And the family told me they had, would drive this car around with their Airedale in the passenger seat, which would be on the left-hand side.
Their dog, yeah.
And they would constantly get looks from people thinking the dog was driving the car because they're not used to a right-hand car.
We're going to have to take Tucker for a spin in it when we
that'll be great.
That would be good.
That'll be great, yeah.
Promotion.
I know another great vehicle that we've got is a 1951 Ford, a custom convertible.
I love that car.
Totally restored. Oh, my gosh.
Love that car.
It is beautiful.
Well, that's my favorite part is the car segment of our auctions because we're going to have not only the cars but the Petroliana. So we're looking for gas pumps and advertising signs and things for that.
Right. We've got a lot of openings in the April auction for signage. We need porcelain signs. We need neon signs. As a matter of fact, when I was picking up the MG, I look and there's a neon Hires root beer sign hanging in their garage.
Oh, get out.
They said, no, take it, get it out of here.
Okay, good.
So again, what's our motto? Make it fit in your wallet.
That's right.
We'll turn it into cash for you.
Well, that's good to hear, Randy. I know we've been really busy this week. We're going to talk some more about how to consign with us later on in this episode, so stay tuned. But I also know you guys picked up a vintage toy collection. Tell us real quick on that, and we'll
absolutely.
hit on toys.
Susan, again, we said this is a busy week, and thank you so much, listeners, for doing exactly what we ask you to do. That's call and email us with these great items because, again, back in Arlington Heights has seemed to be a popular city for us because that's where the toy collection came from.
Oh, it did? Okay, good.
And this is fabulous. I mean, toys from the 50s, 60s, 70s, that's what people want right now. And these are all new in box. How many times have we said the box can be worth more than the toy itself? And that's the case. This is such a great collection. I mean, hundreds. I'm talking hundreds of toys this gentleman had collected. It's a phenomenal collection of anything and everything.
We've always told our employees, don't put any tape on those boxes for our tags.
Oh,
That's
absolutely.
so important to not not ruin the.
So condition
the
is
box.
everything on toys. It really is. So new in box, mint in box, or just in great condition.
So we talked a little bit about what we have coming up in April. We'll continue that discussion coming up in our next segment. We've talked about coin-op machines, cars, Petroliana, vintage and antique toys. Those are just some of the things we're looking for. You also got a big collection of toy trains that just came in. Those are coming in April, right?
Absolutely. Yeah.
Oh, my gosh. Great stuff. And then, of course, I want to hit on the guitars.
Guitars, amplifiers, microphones.
Yep.
Yeah.
And, of course, we're always looking for bars and back bars. We need to get into some of the taverns in Chicago.
Well, and they're still out there. I mean, we find them all the time. We do have one bar and back bar in this auction, and we're looking for more.
That's right. So don't go anywhere. We'll be back in just a minute or so here with the Donley Auctions Hour with Susan and Randy.
They've been called auctioneers of antiques, collectors of cool, even veterans of vintage. And they can introduce themselves. Thanks for listening. This is the Donley Auctions Hour on AM 560, The Answer.
Welcome back to the Donley Auctions Hour. You're here today with Susan and Randy Donley. We're owners of Donley Auctions in Union, Illinois, just 60 miles west of Chicago. Hi, Randy. Thanks for coming back with me today. We are going to continue talking about the crazy week we've had at work at Donley Auctions and some collections that are coming in for our April auction.
You bet. Well, you know, Susan, again, I want to always keep thanking our listeners out there for calling us and emailing us with so many fun items. And what really kills me is the reach that this fabulous radio station 560 has, because a woman called me and she said, I was listening to you on the radio last night. I'm in Montana. And I go, wait a minute. First, we're on Saturdays at 1:00.
Right.
But of course, we've got the podcast that I forgot about.
You can listen to us anytime you want.
Exactly.
24/7.
So she's 80 years old, calls from Montana. And she said, I heard about your military auction. You talked about it coming up in May.
It's coming up in May 20th.
And she said, I have a relative's complete grouping from the 390th Bomb Group. She had a pilot's, a relative of hers, a pilot, his uniforms, his flight jacket, the beautiful, leather flight jacket, hand-painted on the back, painted on the front, just a fabulous, fabulous flight jacket. She sent it to us. We've got it already.
Yep.
But again, this comes to us from Montana, and this grouping is just absolutely incredible, because what do we keep talking about on this show? Provenance. You know, the provenance, it's not just stuff. We have pictures of this pilot wearing the jacket. It's just absolutely incredible. Pictures of his airplane, pictures of his crew, and the man flew 31 missions.
Wow.
31 bombing missions with the 8th Air Force. Now, these guys, the 8th Air Force, not that all, God bless all of our veterans and military personnel out there, but the 8th Air Force was just known for the absolute combat that they flew in, and the incredible missions. So yes, that's coming up at our auction in May.
May 20th and 21st. We have guns and ammunition and military, of course, that entire weekend. So again, mark your calendars. We're always taking consignments. We also carry our own FFL, Federal Firearms License. So we'd be happy to talk to you about any firearm collections you have so you can transport it safely. And we'll talk to you about next steps.
And you're right, because, it's whether you have one item or a whole collection. I mean, we have already gone into homes and taken a collection of over 400 weapons out of a house. And I'll never forget this one particular woman, how happy she was. She said, because she was frozen, petrified.
She didn't know what to do with it,
Did not know what to do. Her husband had passed. She had all these guns.
I don't think she knew he had that many.
Well, I don't think so either. I think that was a big secret. But nonetheless, the whole thing is, she wanted to make sure she did it legally.
Right.
And everything was above board, doing it by the law, making sure that these guns get registered properly and everything.
Correct.
And we do all that. I mean, that's, just
the process is simple, really. I know a lot of people are overwhelmed, but the first step you take is call us or email us.
Right.
We'll go from there. So the other thing I saw rolling in yesterday, was it yesterday?
It was
a cannon. Tell us about the cannon.
Again,
you never know what's going to happen every day with us.
On the radio show, we're asking. I was saying we know that you folks have this stuff out there. There are cannons, there are Jeeps, there are military vehicles. This is what I'm saying.
Just have to remind them.
So call us because we can make it fit in your wallet.
Right.
And sure as heck, we get a phone call with a gentleman that has a jukebox. He consigned his jukebox. He consigned his big gambling wheel, really a neat money wheel. And lo and behold, he has a cannon, a World War I cannon, a French cannon, or it's really a mountain howitzer. But it's on wheels, and it's
wow.
Quite a piece. And this is the stuff that's still out there. There's so much available, especially in this Chicago area.
We've sold so many cannons in the past.
We
just recently, it seems like, doesn't it? Big, heavy stuff rolling around out there. But they sell well. So keep us in mind if you have one in the backyard.
Yeah. We even sold at one point several years ago, we sold a large German cannon, an 88. One of the most famous of all World War II German.
Remember what you got for that?
A lot.
That's good. That's what I like to hear.
That's an undisclosed amount.
Wow. Well, that's great. Those items are coming up in May.
Well, that's May
20th and 21st.
Yeah. So you do have time to consign if you've got anything in military relics. Always, everybody's known that German and Japanese souvenirs like helmets and swords and daggers and everything have always been extremely popular. But, because everybody seemed to have had American souvenirs for years and years, the prices just weren't there on American. But now people get it, and they understand how historic and the history behind all these American souvenirs, and people want American uniforms. They want American helmets. So the World War II, especially American, is exceedingly popular. And I mean, if you had, for example, a World War II paratrooper jacket, you'd be looking at $3,000-$4,000 just for the jacket.
Well, what do you know about the Rough Rider grouping that we have coming up in May? Remind everyone about that.
Yep, and that is coming up in May. We have an original jacket and hat and all kinds of extra memorabilia that went along with it from a family that was in Hampshire, Illinois. And this gentleman, born and raised in Hampshire, actually fought in the Spanish-American War. He charged up San Juan Hill with Teddy Roosevelt. He was in Company D. We have the jacket and hat. And then after that, he performed in the Wild West shows with Buffalo Bill, who actually recreated the charge up San Juan Hill. And he was one of the performers in the the historic Buffalo Bill shows.
Wow. I love that about our company with all the history that comes through there. We actually get to touch it.
Yeah.
And see it.
Well, and I've talked about this before, too. I'm repeating myself, but Colonel Davis was
always a great story, though.
Oh, this gentleman was from Evanston, Illinois, and he entered the service in 1905, but he stayed in all the way through the 1930s. He was in the cavalry, and he became a full colonel, and he was really our Henry Kissinger of that period of time in the teens and everything. And while he was overseas, he became friends with Lawrence of Arabia. T.E. Lawrence was actually his friend, but he didn't like Americans, and he didn't talk to Americans other than Colonel Davis. But Lowell Thomas, the famous reporter and author, was over there covering the story in Palestine, I think, at the time. and he was introduced. Colonel Davis introduced T.E. Lawrence to Lowell Thomas. And, of course, we'd never know who Lawrence in Arabia was if it wasn't for Lowell Thomas writing the famous story about him.
Academy Award-winning movie.
Yeah. So we have the uniform. We have Colonel Davis's uniform. It will be sold in May. May 21st. And again, that came right from Evanston, Illinois. There's so much history here in the Chicago area.
And, I want to mention, too, what if somebody wants to come and actually look at the uniform or the Rough Rider grouping or this bomber jacket?
At this time, of course, you can make an appointment. You can come
for a private viewing.
Right. You do not have to wait until May, even though we do have full viewing before the auction, because all of our auctions are, well, not all of them, but most of our major auctions are live and online. Our beauty is that we're all over the world, thousands and tens of thousands of viewers at every auction. But the fun is you can come live because all of our auctions are an event.
Yeah, we'd love to invite everyone out to Union, Illinois, 8512 South Union Road, Donley Auctions in Union, Illinois. Come visit us. Give us a call. Make sure we're there. As you know, Randy's always out on the road. But we also have a preview on May 19th from noon until 7 p.m. right before the Guns and Military auction, so you can come look at everything. Mm-hmm. But you know what? Coming up next, don't go anywhere. I have a big announcement to make.
Ooh.
Do not go anywhere.
Okay.
I don't even know if you know what it is.
I'm wondering.
I also want to touch a little bit on vintage microphones. We have a lot to talk about in our next segment. You're listening to the Donley Auctions Hour right here on AM 560, The Answer.
You're listening to the Donley Auctions Hour on AM 560, The Answer.
Welcome back to the Donley Auctions Hour. You're here today with Susan and Randy Donley of Donley Auctions in Union, Illinois. I had mentioned in the last
You're
segment.
making me nervous there.
That's not funny.
I've been holding my breath during the...
We have a big announcement to make, and I am so excited because we just confirmed it before the show today.
Oh, that announcement.
Announcement.
Now,
Don't worry. Now, all of you know our friend, Sean Thompson.
You bet.
He's live on AM 560 every day from 4 to 7. Tune into his show. He's got all of his podcasts listed on his page.
He's the best, yeah.
He is going to be live at Donley Auctions on Wednesday, April 25th.
You got it.
Wednesday, April 25th, doing his show live in our facility from 4 to 7 p.m.
I again can't say enough about Sean. We started our life at 560 as advertisers on the Sean Thompson
That's
show.
Right.
And of course, we love his show. We love everything he does for this country, really.
Right.
Keeping the word out there. And we support everything that he does and everything, but I just can't tell you. That's how we ended up with his suggestion of coming on and having our own
radio show. Yeah, I don't think he's ever really been at another facility to do a show like he's going to do with us on Wednesday, April 25th.
And that's it. You can come and meet Sean. He's going to actually do the show there. The show is live from 4 to 7, and so we'll be open all day for viewing of our April auction.
Right.
And so you can come and view the auction and then hang out and watch the show being recorded live. And
I'm sure he'll take some questions from the audience. He might even have some time to do a meet and greet. We'll give you some more information on that later. But, I wanted to look up a little bio on Sean. If you don't know who he is, you should by now. You got to know Sean Thompson. His bio first sentence says, he refuses to allow corrupt politicians to infringe on his personal liberty, and each day he takes them to the task.
He really does. If you
Sean
have
Thompson,
not heard the Sean Thompson Show, you better listen to it on this station every Monday through Friday.
He's from Melrose Park.
Originally.
Yeah.
But he's
originally
He's
Melrose
moved
Park,
out of town, though, because of the politics in Illinois.
Oh, wow. I have to start making a list of some questions I want to ask.
Yeah.
That'll be fun. I got my Sean Thompson T-shirt. I'm ready to go. I'm a big fan.
Yeah, but if you want to meet Sean Thompson, you come to Donley Auctions, and we're going to have
April 25th.
Great time, and you'll be able to view the auction.
That's right. So with that big announcement said, I did want to touch a little bit about some of the audio equipment we've been selling recently, it's just been a very good selling point, audio equipment. And part of that is vintage microphones. So I did a little research on that.
Wow.
What's your thoughts on vintage microphones?
Well, I just want to touch back on audio equipment in general.
Okay.
Again, what we keep telling everybody about antiques or collectibles or auction items, for that matter, is they don't have to be, antique and 100 years old, because vintage audio equipment, I have to say, is way more popular right now than an old Edison phonograph or a Victrola or anything, because, people are collecting and buying what they remember. So it's not necessarily the antique past, but the past that they still remember. So the 1970s and 60s equipment is selling way better than something from the teens.
But what I noticed is those collectors are also looking for the vintage microphones. It's just part of the collection, right? Yeah. So I did a little research on that, and I learned something interesting.
Okay.
Did you know that Alexander Graham Bell, who only a year before he invented the telephone, recognized the importance of Emil Berliner's technology with the first microphone? He called it a telephone transmitter. So Alexander Graham Bell bought the patent for $50,000 in 1876.
I can't imagine how much money that was.
I don't know the
I don't know the relation,
right there,
but
that's a lot of money, is it not?
Huge amount of money.
Wow, but just to kind of pun intended, it is a sound investment these days. Those
but
microphones.
I never knew that. So you're basically saying that Emil Berliner, who actually invented the
first
flat
microphone.
Well, but he also invented the disc phonograph. I mean, He was responsible for the first flat records. Edison had a cylinder. Emil Berliner had the flat discs that we now know. And he invented the microphone, and Alexander Bell bought it from him. Is that what you're saying?
Yes, he bought the patent from him.
Incredible.
Because he had initially introduced it in 1877 because he was working with Thomas Edison at that time. So our good old friend Thomas Edison, thank you. And that's one of the world's oldest microphones back in the 1876.
And this radio show right now couldn't be broadcast without the microphone.
I know. I'm looking at this one. What brand is this one? These are great. So there's really 4 different types of microphones out there in microphone world. And I just would love to find a collection. I just think they're selling really well right now is a good time. There's 4 different types of microphones. There's a dynamic, there's a large diaphragm condenser and a small diaphragm condenser, and a ribbon microphone. So if you have anything like that out there and you're interested in making your collection fit into your wallet, give us a call at 815-923-7000, or you can email us at consign@donleyauctions.com.
Wow. Again, microphones have always been something I've been interested in because, collecting phonographs, microphones fit right in that also.
That's right. So in our next segment, don't go anywhere, we're going to talk about how you can consign and even bid at our auction. You're listening to the Donley Auctions Hour right here every Saturday on AM 560, The Answer. Oh, I meant to mention this.
And now, more of the Donley Auctions Hour on AM 560, The Answer.
We are back with the Donley Auctions Hour. You're here with Susan and Randy Donley of Donley Auctions in Union, Illinois. Thanks for sticking with us during that break. I just made a big announcement. You want me to say it again?
Yes, definitely.
Sean Thompson is from our favorite radio show every weekday from 4 to 7 on AM 560 is going to be live at Donley Auctions. I still can't believe it.
Yeah.
They'll be live at our facility in Union, Illinois on Wednesday, April 26th. I think I said the 25th before. It's Wednesday, April 26th.
Just remember Wednesday.
From 4 to 7, Wednesday. Yeah, because it's the preview before our April Spring Classic, which is Thursday, Friday, Saturday, April 27th, 28th, 29th.
We were talking about microphones a few minutes ago, and I always think back, one of the biggest mistakes of my collecting career was years ago, a radio announcer from Harvard, Illinois, had this fabulous microphone collection. He had over 50 microphones out of studios. They had all the call letters on the top of them and everything, and they were just fabulous. And he wanted to sell the collection, and I did not buy it. I think about that all the time. Microphones has just always been something of interest to me.
And they're affordable for one thing, but they also sell really well. so you can get a good buy on it, but they're very collectible. That's the main thing. At an auction, you never know. It takes two people to fight over something. That's for sure.
You know, we talked about what a busy week this has been. And one thing that we also picked up, I want to just touch on, is this collection of jewelry.
I saw that.
Oh, my goodness. It was better than expected. I said, folks, that we had gone out last week, flew out to New York to pick up. My daughter actually did it for us. Picked up this fabulous collection in New York of jewelry. So if you are looking for gifts, you know, we've got a fabulous lineup of rings and watches.
Wow.
But high end. I mean, this is
the real deal.
Yeah, we're talking anywhere.
Some, they're beautiful.
$5,000 to $30,000.
Any 5-carat engagement rings in there? Do you happen to see any of those?
No.
Or a stone even I can use?
But, you know, as we're picking up stuff for the April auction, and it's so much fun, one thing that just came in was a pocket watch. And we may have mentioned this before, a pocket watch that's gold, but the family was talking about the fact that their relative was actually a prospector in the Yukon territory, and it was just fabulous that they had this, not only this watch, but the watch chain has gold nuggets all over it from his prospecting.
Wow.
And now, you know, again, my brother Mike has done the research on this watch, and he actually found a little tiny mark on the watch chain, which told what jewelry store this watch chain was made at. And he was able to find pictures of the actual jewelry store in the Yukon territory where this was made. Now, beyond that, we actually have a picture of the gold miner wearing the watch.
Oh, my gosh. What a great grouping.
So, yeah, again, provenance is everything, because it's no longer just an interesting watch. It's a watch with some real significant history.
Right. We even talked about provenance in one of our prior episodes, the importance of it. What do you do if you don't have provenance, but you know it in your head or you've heard it from Grandpa? What do they need to do for that?
I'm always saying mark down what you know. You know, a lot of people say, well, I don't have any provenance, but, you know, my grandfather told me this or that. Well,
there's the
that
provenance,
becomes
right?
The provenance. If you know it, and it's something that you can add to the value, certainly write it down, type it up, sign it, even get it notarized. It all helps, when you know something about it, because, once that actual little story is gone and separated, it's gone forever. You can never recapture it.
Backing up real quick, when is the jewelry up for auction?
It's also in April.
That's in April also. So the Spring Classic, you think coin-op machines and advertising. Well, now we have jewelry. We've got cars,
antique
motorcycles,
toys,
vintage toys. Yeah, all kinds of great stuff. What about the pocket watch?
What about it?
When is that going up for auction?
That also goes in April.
That's in April.
Yes.
Okay, wow.
Yes.
You guys got to come out. Come out to Donley Auctions.
It's going to be a fabulous
on Wednesday
auction.
For sure to see Sean Thompson, but then come back the next day for the auction on Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. Spring Classic coming up.
Susan, it's funny. You just showed me a picture of a cigar store Indian before before we came into the station today, and we actually have a cigar store Indian also that's going through some minor restoration right now that will be in this auction, in the April auction.
Wonderful. I love those.
Yeah.
The real ones, yeah.
Cigar store figures are always popular, and over the years, I have been lucky enough to find a few of them in old shops in Chicago.
Of course.
Yeah, down in the basement, still there.
That's right, and we'll come out and pick it up.
Yep, there's all kinds of treasures in our neighborhood here.
That's right. So give us a call at 815-923-7000. Best yet, though, is to just email us at consign@, it's CONSIGN, consign@DonleyAuctions.com. All we really need is a brief description of what you have and some photos, because then I can distribute it to the right person, the expert.
Well, speaking of experts, Louis DePasqua, our expert, did a fabulous job on describing some guitars that we had in the last auction, and they sold for very good money. So remember, if you've got any vintage guitars or early amplifiers, some brand names, Gibson and so on,
Right.
Martin. I mean, these are very, very valuable today and very prized by buyers. So if you have items like this that you want to make fit in your wallet,
That's right.
call us or email us.
That's right. And we do work with you for delivery and pickup. So we'll give you the next steps. Give us a call. But right now you're listening to the Donley Auctions Hour right here on AM 560, The Answer.
The Donley Auctions Hour continues now on AM 560, The Answer.
We are back with the Donley Auctions. We're here with Susan and Randy Donley with Donley Auctions in Union, Illinois. We've been talking today about how crazy work has been, all these great collections that have been rolling in the door thanks to our listeners, and some items we're looking for our April auction.
On the way to the studio today, I just looked off to the side, and I saw a bunch of posters from 007, the James Bond. And it occurred to me that we do have coming up, it's not scheduled yet, we don't have a date for it, but we have a movie memorabilia auction that will be this year. We just don't have the date for it yet. So anybody that's got movie posters or memorabilia, be it old vintage costumes from movies or anything, but even the equipment is so popular. The old motion picture cameras that actually filmed the movies, but the projection equipment that used to be in the theaters, very popular. There used to be a museum right in the city of Chicago that was specialized in just, projectors. Imagine that.
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
That's going to be a great auction.
It really
We'll
is.
keep you posted on that one. Another one we have coming up, which we want to mention too, is in June. We have auctions pretty much every month and several online in between. But our big in-person auctions where you can come and sit in our wonderful auction gallery are about once a month. In June, we have a fantastic antique phonograph and music box collection.
Well, there's actually two separate collections. It's going to be a 2-day auction.
2-day auction.
As a matter of fact, two
consignors
huge
collections, right.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Again, very, very rare things. There's even a handwritten letter from Thomas Edison. There's you mentioned Alexander Bell. There's a letter signed by Alexander Bell talking about his experiments in the 1870s. Yeah,
that's great. Well, also coming up, which I just got it online this week, is a political collection and memorabilia with, I can't tell you how many different presidential candidates are listed in this auction. And you could just search by the president's name and you'll find all these great items that we have in our political collection. That is May 14th. It's a Sunday.
And, that came to us via a museum in Rockford that closed.
Oh, I didn't know that.
There's so many small museums, be it private or historical societies, that unfortunately are underfunded and they do have to close. And we end up auctioning off their contents in so many. So if you do know of anybody that has items from historical societies or museums or any way we can help, Donley Auctions always works with museums and curators to help dispose of surplus items.
That's right. I know we've touched on a lot of items we're looking for. We hope it piques your interest a little bit to go search around. Find out from your friends and family if there's something we can help you with. We're happy to give you an honest evaluation. We'll give you next steps. We don't want you to be paralyzed and not know what to do with anything in the house. So give us a call at 815-923-7000.
Again, as I was leaving today for the show, I even looked on my desk, and there's an autographed picture of Kennedy, and it was just autographed when he was a senator. It just says Jack. I mean, that's the way he used to sign his photos when he was a senator.
Well, that reminds me, in the political collection on May 14th, we have a signed photograph of Winston Churchill.
Wow.
Yeah. Great stuff coming up at Donley Auctions. Never a dull moment, that's for sure.
No.
But like I said, we do hold live auctions once a month. We hold online-only auctions. But how do you bid with us? You either come there, You can submit an absentee bid. You can call us and request a phone bid. There's a lot of different ways you can do it. You don't actually have to be there. But we do want to invite you to come to our facility. We have complimentary coffee and donuts and
Susan,
pizza and beer.
We're out of time. We need more time.
That's right. For now, I'm Susan.
And I'm Randy Donley.
And we'll see you at the auction.
Thanks for listening to the Donley Auctions Hour on AM 560, The Answer. Check out all the latest information on upcoming auctions and collectibles at DonleyAuctions.com. And while you're there, you can contact someone about buying or selling your collectibles or estates. That's DonleyAuctions.com.